Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, welcome to Industrial Talk. It is a buzzing. We are on site. Xcelerate 2025 is the event, and it is in Austin, Texas, and it is great. Yep, it's great. I'm looking out at, what do they call it? The Reliability Lab. We're right on the Reliability Lab floor, and it's humming with a lot of people that want to solve your problems because they are bold, brave, and they dare greatly. They innovate, they collaborate, and they want to solve your problem each and every day. They make the world a better place. He's been in the hot seat before. He's great. He's been around. He's got mad street cred. Frederic, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
Well, I got to tell you, I was looking forward to this conversation. And of course, listener, I just want to let you know, we haven't been prepared. No preparation for this conversation. I'm just going to pepper him with questions that I want. Me.
Sure.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
So, one of the questions, before we get going, give us background. Background on who you are.
Sure. I've been with Fluke Corporation for 10 years. Actually, I started in 2015, and then I did a stint at Accurant for a couple of years in between. And I'm back at Fluke Industrial, and I'm leading one of their businesses, the process tool instrumentation process.
Instrumentation process, did you say?
Yeah.
What is that? Explain to us a little bit about what that means.
Sure. So the process tool business has a portfolio of tools. They allow technician, engineer, reliability maintenance professionals to use anything related to the process aspect to equipment, pressure transmitter, temperature transmitter, volt, milliamps, where they have a need to only measure, but also to source, and essentially to provide a calibration. Perfect example, pressure transmitter, you need to do a measurement and also a calibration. We have actually the equipment, they provide this to you, and also we'll provide a report at the end.
Is the equipment, because everybody, the conversations have always been, I can't find the right people. Okay, got it. It's a people equation. It happens all the time. But then there are the tools too as well. And are these tools that you are mentioning and that you lead, are they user friendly? Are they, I know they're powerful, but I've been in some organizations where I've seen the tool just sort of sitting in a cube, not being used. And I think that there was a loss of knowledge that took place. Are these tools intuitive in a sense?
The short answer is yes. And for two reasons. Number one, when Fluke generally designed a tool to launch as either a brand new tool or an updated version, there's a lot of thoughts that goes behind how user-friendly is it. Because we have to think about who is going to use the tool. And
the churn. Yeah. Just the churn of people.
Correct. And so I can tell you, at least for this part of the business, for process tools, the people are already knowledgeable. They know what they want, and they usually know how to use the tools. So we only have met them halfway there in order for them to make it as easy as possible to actually use the tool to measure the temperature, the pressure, the milliamps. It's much more about, hey, what are the features you truly need in order to do your work? So yes, it is fairly intuitive. But I would also say then the instrumentation technician and engineer who use those equipment are knowledgeable enough that they know what they need. So they come to us and say, I want this particular model and I want this particular model because I know I need to do this particular task.
How do you keep up with just iterating on these tools, right? What it was, let's say 10 years ago is not what it is today. And therefore, there has to be this back and forth of conversation with the end user to to develop a tool that truly meets the market's needs? How do you work in that environment? Because I know what I want, but not everything is, maybe not a focus for Fluke.
It's a very fine line, and it's part of actually the Fluke culture, and especially from a product aspect in product development. There's a lot of work that goes into understanding what the customer wants, even before we talk about a tool that we need to come up on the market. Or for that matters, even if we need to have a tool, specific tool, as an updated version of what we currently have. The key of that is VOC, voice of the customers. So there's a lot of work that we put in the forefront before we even present to the leadership about what kind of tool do we want. Does the customer have already this? Do we solve a problem? Those are the discussions that we have with customers, not only virtually, but in the facilities, in their facilities. And I've always said, I was lucky enough when I work at GE in field service, then I've been to hundreds of different sites. And by the time you're done, and when you do this, you have the ability to actually walk in a facility, and within 5-10 minutes, you can actually understand the customer, recognize what they need, and listening to them. And I think the key piece right there is at the forefront, listen to what the customer is telling you, and also listen in between the lines. What they're not saying, then you actually visually see at their facilities. That right there, it's your core foundation of I know what we're missing. Well, I know what we need to actually build for the customers. That's phase one. And then phase two is really, once you start building, have the customer partner with you on that journey in order to build or create the proper tool that they need.
What fascinates me is we're on the reliability lab floor right here, and there are solutions everywhere, and you just sort of scan the environment, and you're saying, man, there's a lot of tools, a lot of solutions. How do you take something that are seriously advanced right now? They're very sophisticated tools to help manufacturers, industry to succeed. How does one, the advancement I just can't imagine a market saying, hey, there's more that has to be done. It's because you guys have such tremendous tools. How do you deal with that? Is that gap still wide where you're saying, oh, hey, yeah, look at that. I didn't think of that. You guys think of everything.
I think the technology is moving so fast that we even as an OEM, we are making great tools, a great product that we still need to continuously learn about the technology, learn how we can help the customer, and how we actually match the two together. I think that's the key piece.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two is not all customers are actually there where they needed to be with the technology. And so it is our responsibility as much as a product provider that we also provide the knowledge and the expertise. And so educating them, it goes way beyond just providing a tool. We should be expert in pressure. We should be also expert in temperature. We should be expert in thought leadership about, hey, how do we actually do digitalization? How do you actually do reliability? Or how you actually combine the two together through a tool. A product that we have, even a CMMS, is only a vehicle that just brings you there. Yeah. There's a lot more to this.
Oh, it's huge. Oh, I agree with you 100%. It's a massive profession with many tentacles and avenues to choose from, and I think it's a very attractive, quite frankly, attractive profession. How do you deal with the advent, and it's happening because you guys have it, in incorporating AI into your tools? You got your Zima, but you've got to be having that conversation with your tools too as well.
Yeah, and so it's in two parts. The first is at the Fortive level. So we work closely with the Fortive, obviously. Fluke is one of the major opco within Fortive. And they have some good tools already that we can use internally. And along with this, we work within the Fluke organization, depending if you're Fluke Reliability or Fluke Industrial or even Network, to slowly try to incorporate some of these tools into not only the product itself, but the work stream. And I think the work stream is really important because it does not necessarily have to be always in the tool itself. It could be, how do you utilize AI once you have the data? Because at the end of the day, what it's really powerful is that if you have a bunch of calibration data on 50 different assets, can you actually have AI look at those and really give you a summary, pinpoint where there's potential failure, and so forth? So having the ability to do this, but it also goes with the aspect of learning how to properly use AI. And that's probably the biggest piece. And that's a continuously effort. Because, we're probably at the beginning of AI.
I agree and support you 100%. Absolutely agree. The challenge that I always see, specifically when I'm collecting data, let's say I can collect data all day long, and quite frankly, I can collect clean and good data, good relevant data. It's the ability to take that tsunami of data and be able to effectively analyze it in such a way that gives me tactical insights into my operations quickly, right? There's a time component. And to be able to do that effectively, I think that's key. And companies and organizations like Fortive and of course, Fluke, leading the way is from a macro point of view, very important to the market, because somebody's got to do it. You got to, skin your knees a little bit. You got to bump your head, and you got to do it, just because I think the market is going to demand more. And like you said, I think we're at the tip of the iceberg.
We're absolutely at the tip of the iceberg. And when I say we're at the beginning, we're at the beginning from an industrial perspective.
Yeah.
And when I say beginning, 2 or 3 years, it's infancies. Yeah. There's nothing to that. Reliability has been there for 30, 40, 50 years. And there's a lot of processes that you have within reliability that took a long, long time to get going. I think it will accelerate the type of technology and work processes that we will have. So it's not like a 5 or 10 year process, but more 3 to 5 years for me, where people not only will recognize the value of AI to look at data, but they also start to say, I have to use it. I have to do this effort to use it. Because there's a component of learning that we all have to do in order to get there. I do this almost every single day.
But you bring up an absolutely interesting point. Everybody knows, unless you're living under a rock, everybody knows that the realities of AI, the realities of being able to analyze the data effectively is very important. And I think it's a competitive advantage for companies and organizations to be able to look at that technology in such a way that says, yeah, well, there we go, we're better because of that. One of the areas that I find that I think is important or incumbent upon Fluke is the necessity to be that technology Sherpa. Because I might be this manufacturer, and I'm on the World Wide Web, and I'm looking at it, and it's saying I got to do that. But who do I trust? There's a lot of people hanging their shingles out saying, hey, I'm an expert in X. I think that it's important for Fluke to be able to be that Sherpa.
I 100% agree. I mean, this is exactly some of the discussion I even had with leadership recently about it, is that we do not, as Fluke, our company, we do not just want to be seen as a good OEM or tool manufacturer. I personally, I'll be honest, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested to see Fluke as a true partner that can not only provide excellent product, but also the thought leadership and the knowledge that goes along with this.
Yeah.
Just I was saying, if not, what's the interest? There's so much more that we can talk about it. And I had discussion recently with some of the customers that say, let me not talk to you about the tool, but let me talk to you about the application. Why you need this, how you need this, how does that benefit your organization in the long run, not just in the short term, without even mentioning the tool. And I think this is a discussion I even had. I remember sitting down with Chevron in Richmond, California, and it was a big meeting that we had at that time. That was a long, long time ago. And I made sure with the sales manager, when we walked in, they say, we are not going to talk about the product. But by the time we leave, we will have the largest contract that we will have both in product and services. And we end up, and the very question that I asked with the VP was simply, it's like, if I could save you 50% of your overtime because of your pump, would you be interested to partner with us? That's how we started. And we ended up obviously having, at the time, it was an ultrasonic measurement. And we ended up, he signed off on it a week later because we were trying to meet him where his true problem was.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to Fluke. This is what we're trying. Is it a problem worth solving for the customer they currently have? And if it is, then we should go after and we should partner with them to make sure that we provide the best equipment, but as well the knowledge that goes with it. Thought leadership podcast is so important.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, I agree. And there's that, whether we have that, you just have to recognize that there's that human component. I mean, it's fine. The technology is the technology. The solutions are the solutions. And yeah, you've got a portfolio of all of that. But I'm telling you right now, given the conversations that I've had, they're still looking for that human-to-human contact to be able to help them along. Trusted, not just anybody, trusted. And I agree with you 100%. What gets you excited about the future? Tell us.
Post-COVID, I think more and more gathering and more sharing of the knowledge like we do.
Yeah.
I think and you've lived through, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. The fact that we lost easily 2.5 to 3 years has been a huge challenge. But I've seen a lot of excitement about people going back to, obviously, to conference and sharing the knowledge, not just the product be there, but be able to be one-on-one, having those discussion about AI, having discussion about reliability in general, or about how you actually can do digitalization. What does that really mean? Because we all use this word, but what the heck does that actually mean for anyone?
Yeah.
So I think then seeing this, and since post-COVID, obviously, we have seen ChatGPT and AI explode. So it's almost like a perfect timing if you want to, because it forces us to kind of accelerate and relearn some of the things that we did not know before.
Yeah.
And that's a tool right there that we all at least have to have some type of knowledge, can use both professionally and personally. But I think it's going to help us quite a bit. We just don't know. We just don't know exactly how. Some people think that they do. I personally don't. And I want to be, that's okay. I want to be surprised.
Yeah.
And I want to be along with that journey. And I think that's important. The other thing that I would mention also, and I think it's really important, is we've got to find a way then to have the next generation following us.
Oh, that's a whole nother doggone conversation.
Yeah. And so, because AI can take us right there, but I don't want the people who are using AI, regardless if with tool or with work processes, stop thinking about the critical thinking.
Yeah.
Because AI is great, but at some point, it's going to learn and learn and learn. That means you do not have to stop to do some really good critical thinking about how to create a product, how you have a workflow, how you work with each other.
Yeah.
And that's a key piece right there. I just want to make sure that we do not lose that aspect, which is key about having ideation on a project.
Yeah, that whole that whole inspiring the next gen
Yeah.
is a completely, you know, what concerns me is that I think we're in a renaissance. We're in a renaissance period now. And I think that it's going to, because of things that have changed in DC, there's a bigger focus on bringing manufacturing back. And we still have not addressed, well, that's great. Let's bring them all back. But who's going to do it?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I get it. It makes sense. The paperwork all works fine. But it's like, who? And you never get rid of the human side.
You're absolutely right. You can't, I mean, I'm all for it to bring back.
Well, yeah.
I still think that there's a huge part of globalization, then we won't be able to necessarily get away with it.
Yeah.
And I think it makes perfect sense. But you can't have both ways. You can't have, let's bring back our manufacturing, and then you have an immigration policy that doesn't follow it.
It's a balance. It's way above my pay grade.
So am I.
Yeah, I mean, we can dabble in it, but I guarantee you we're sort of missing the mark. I'm sure there's other smarter people than me, I'll tell you that much. How do they get a hold of you? What's your best way?
Best way, I'm at Fluke, Frederic.Baudart at Fluke.com. Talk to me about thought leadership, product, anything related to Fluke.
Yeah, but you're also out on LinkedIn, right?
I'm on LinkedIn as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're pretty active.
I try to be.
Yeah, that trying is a good solution. I got it. You were just absolutely wonderful. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Always great. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. All right, we're going to have all the contact information for Frederic out on Industrial Talk, so fear not. That's where you go. Just go to Industrial Talk, find out, connect. It is a must. You need trusted individuals, and he is one of them. He is one of the good guys. All right, we're once again broadcasting from Xcelerate 2025 here in Austin, Texas. Brought to you by those wonderful people at Fluke Reliability. You need it. You need this. Just trust me. You need this. All right, we're going to wrap it up on the side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Yeah, that was a great event. That was Xcelerate 2025. What always fascinates me about anything dealing with Fluke is the ability to be able to talk to anyone like Frederic and be able to get answers to your challenges. But not only that is how they incorporate all of the tools, like real, you know Fluke tools, they're out there. Proof Technic, all of this stuff works together for asset management, and it's all available. And they just continue to strive for user simplicity to get the answers that you need in all of their solutions. Fantastic stuff. All right, Industrial Talk is here for you. We have a marketing group. We do marketing, and we do it well. So contact us. You want to increase your attention? Contact us. All right, be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Hang out with Frederic, change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.